Okay, let's unpack this. Think about the last time you were shopping online, trying to find something specific.
Hmm.
Maybe, that perfect gadget or a gift or even just socks. What was that like?
Yeah, probably involved a lot of scrolling.
Exactly. So much scrolling, clicking through menus, fighting with filters that, well, they never quite get it right, do they?
It's that familiar dance, isn't it? Like a digital treasure hunt that feels more like a chore sometimes.
Totally. And that feeling, that friction, we all know from online shopping. That's exactly what we're diving into today.
It really is almost universal, especially on big platforms like Shopify, maybe. The
Yeah.
number of options can just be overwhelming. You said
Yeah.
it, friction. And it's definitely not the best way for everyone to shop.
Mm.
It makes you wonder, is there a better way?
Absolutely. So our mission for this deep dive is to explore a really interesting potential solution to this exact problem.
Okay.
We're looking at a totally different way to interact with online stores, something that tries to make shopping feel, well, less digital maybe, more human.
And there's this app called Voice Model that's kind of leading the charge here.
Right, voice model from a Canadian team I read.
Yeah, that's right. And it's built specifically for Shopify retailers. Imagine like an AI voice assistant right in the store, ready to help out.
Okay, so the core idea, and it sounds pretty cool, is making online shopping more like a conversation.
Exactly. Think about walking into a real store, asking a salesperson for help finding something.
Mm-hmm.
Voice Model wants to bring that kind of natural interaction online.
But that has huge potential. So the promise is
What?
more inclusive, more intelligent.
Inclusive, intelligent, and intuitive. Those are the key words they use. Using our voices to navigate, basically.
Okay, intriguing. But how does that actually work? How do you turn a website into a conversation?
Well, the fundamental shift is just how customers interact. Instead of clicking links, typing in search bars, messing with filters,
Yeah.
they just talk. They can ask questions, ask for help finding things, explore products, just by speaking. It makes the static web page feel much more alive.
So it's more than just saying, find me a blue t-shirt.
Oh, way more. That's just scratching the surface. Voice Model's got a bunch of functions. You can ask general questions, get details on products, maybe ask about return policies,
Right, okay.
discover new stuff based on what you say you like, what goes well with these shoes, that kind of thing. Even ask about discounts, all with your voice.
Right.
And they even mention interactive stuff, like maybe a voice quiz to find the right skin cream.
Huh, interesting. You mentioned specialized skills for the AI agents. What does that mean exactly?
So think of those skills as areas where the AI knows more. It's trained to tackle those common shopping frustrations better.
Like
Maybe a size and fit skill. It could ask you detailed questions about measurements, how you like things to fit,
Yeah.
Go beyond just basic keywords.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe a tech spec skill that explains complicated gadget features in plain English if you ask. They're meant to give smarter, more helpful answers than just a search box.
That makes sense. And it definitely feels like that fits how we use tech now, right? Voice assistants are everywhere.
Exactly. We're getting so used to talking to our phones, our smart speakers. Voice Model just takes that behavior and plugs it into shopping. For lots of people, talking is just quicker than typing, especially if you're busy or on your phone.
Now, something that really jumped out at me was the focus on accessibility and inclusion. It sounds like it's not just about convenience, but really breaking down barriers.
Absolutely. That's a core idea behind it, making online shopping fair and usable for everyone, reflecting, the real world's diversity.
How so?
Well, they use these 3 example personas, which I think really drive the point home. They show who this can help.
Okay, let's hear them. First one is Amara, a multilingual newcomer.
Yeah, Amara. So she's recently moved to Canada from Kenya, works as a caregiver. Busy job.
Right.
When she shops online for gifts, home stuff, health products,
Right.
English isn't her first language. So those detailed product pages, lots of text. It's overwhelming, hard to understand everything.
I can imagine. So how does Voice Model help her?
Well, with Voice Model, she could ask questions in Swahili or French, for example, and get helpful answers back without having to struggle through all that English text.
Wow. And it's not just translation. It's about the AI understanding her questions in her language, responding clearly, patiently, makes the whole thing less stressful, more accessible.
That's a fantastic example. Really bridges a gap. Who's next?
Next up is Jay, the busy dad on the go. I think a lot of us can relate to Jay.
Probably. Tell us about him.
So Jay's got young kids. Hands are full, right? Maybe he's trying to grab a minute to shop on his phone while waiting in the carpool line.
Yep, been there.
And he needs to find, say, peanut-free snacks for a school thing, trying to type and navigate menus on a small screen while juggling kids. It's just awkward, basically impossible sometimes.
So voice makes it easier.
Way easier. If the store has voice model, Jay could just ask, got any nut-free snacks for kids? And boom, instant recommendations, key details.
No scrolling, no fiddling with filters while his hands are full. Saves time, cuts frustration. Big win.
Yeah, that really shows how it smooths out those little friction points. Okay, and the third persona, Lynn, the neurodivergent creator.
Right. Lynn. Lynn runs a small online shop on Shopify, like an Etsy store, selling handmade planners, stickers.
Okay.
And Lynn identifies as neurodivergent. ADHD is mentioned. For Lynn, visually cluttered websites, too many choices. It can be really overwhelming. Leads to decision fatigue.
Which many people feel, but maybe it's amplified for some.
Exactly. So how does voice model help? For Lynn's customers, it offers a simpler way in. Instead of a complex page, they can just ask naturally, like, what's your best planner for creatives? Less overwhelming.
Makes sense.
And for Lynn, as the shop owner, seeing how easy it is for customers might inspire them to use it for their store too. That idea that just talking feels more natural, less taxing than clicking. It really lands here.
Yeah, these personas definitely show the different ways voice can make things easier and more accessible. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Why voice tech now? It seems to be popping up everywhere.
That's a really good question. We're seeing voice activation just explode, aren't we? Smart homes,
Yeah.
cars, people just getting really comfortable talking to technology day to day.
But as the material points out, e-commerce has stayed, quote, stubbornly silent. It's interesting.
It is, isn't it? Despite voice being everywhere else, online shopping is still mostly clicks and taps. And that silence, well, it's a missed opportunity for businesses, definitely.
And frustrating for customers who might prefer voice.
Or who really need it for accessibility.
Right.
It creates this disconnect. People using voice elsewhere, why not for shopping?
So voice model is basically trying to break that silence, bring voice into retail.
That's exactly the goal. To make online shopping feel more natural, personalized, more inclusive.
Yeah.
Using the power of voice, which people are already comfortable with. Meeting them where they are.
And it sounds like it does more than just help you buy stuff, too. The AI agents can help with other things.
Yeah, that's a really key part of it. It's not just about the sale.
Okay.
The AI can answer questions about store policies, shipping, returns, that stuff, handle FAQs easily, even run, like we said, those interactive quizzes to help you discover things.
So the aim is to actually help, not just sell.
Exactly. To be genuinely helpful throughout the whole process.
So looking at the bigger picture then,
Yeah.
what's the grand vision here for voice model?
Well, they frame it as more than just a tool. It's part of this larger movement toward humanizing digital commerce.
Yeah.
One voice interaction at a time. That's the quote.
Humanizing digital commerce. I like that.
Yeah. The goal is a faster, more accessible, and just more human way to shop online.
And for the Shopify owners listening, thinking about this, what are the main advantages for them?
For the merchants, the benefits could be pretty big. Easier engagement with visitors right off the bat. Less friction in the buying journey, making it smoother for people to find stuff and check out. Better product discovery, helping customers find things they might have missed.
Right.
And even streamlining support by handling those common questions instantly. Frees up their team for trickier issues.
Okay, let's just quickly recap those key features again. For the store owners and their customers, what does voice model actually add?
Okay, so for merchants, you add an AI voice assistant to your Shopify store. Simple integration,
Right.
which then lets your customers talk to your store, ask questions, explore, navigate using natural conversation.
And the customer gets?
The customer gets a more accessible, more intuitive way to shop. They can ask about products in their own words, get voice explanations, navigate hands-free.
And the language support is huge.
Huge, 32 languages. That really opens things up globally. And the hands-free part is great for mobile shoppers like our friend Jay.
So if you had to boil down the message for store owners thinking about this.
It's pretty direct. Let customers talk to your store instead of scrolling or clicking. It's an invitation to embrace conversation, a more human approach online.
And those specific benefits that enable that, just list them off one more time.
Sure. It supports 32 languages, answers product questions via voice, explains features, handles FAQs and policies conversationally, and creates a much more accessible shopping experience overall.
Okay. So wrapping up this deep dive, it really feels like voice tech has some serious potential to change e-commerce. What's the biggest impact you see coming?
I think, the biggest thing could be just fundamentally changing how we find and buy things online. Imagine the digital world feeling less like clicking through pages and more like,
Yeah.
well, like a real conversation,
Hmm.
like talking to a helpful assistant who guides you, more like a real-world interaction almost.
That's a really powerful thought. Makes you think about all those times you've been stuck scrolling endlessly, doesn't it? Maybe next time that happens, you'll think about how just talking using a voice first approach might make the whole thing so much easier, maybe even enjoyable.